New genetic modifications in every box.
The debate over the merits of genetically modified foods has gone.
Do you have a problem with lawn weeds? Try Weedaflex.
I love working around here. You know, that last segment, making fun of bankers and the way that they're running everything into the ground and saying those words, fractional reserve lending. They make money up out of nowhere. I love saying that.
Actually, I said that to a teller the other day. Not that, but I said, it's not real anyway. They just make it up out of nowhere. She goes, yeah, I wish that were true.
They don't know.
They don't know.
Bankers don't actually know that they make money up out of nowhere. But what they do with the money is the problem. You're listening to Radio Free Canada. I am Darren Howard.
And I am Robert Nisbet.
Thanks for joining us. One of the things that the banks do is they finance big corporations like Monsanto, and GMOs get into everything.
That's right.
So to start things off, while we start talking about GMOs for the last part of this hour, let's run it with a smile.
OMG Mom, it's GMOs. Genetically Modified O's by Monsanto. New genetic modifications in every box. Spliced with genes from fire ant, salmon, porpoises, mercury, jellyfish, skunks. Humans? We don't have to tell you. Also contains unknown side effects. So you might as well buy some, since you're probably eating them anyway.
And that's the way that we start things off when we start talking about GMOs.
Well, they are in everything.
Kellogg's is, I want my Corn Flakes back. That's one thing that I am not eating and I've dropped since I've started learning about GMOs and the damage that it does to your system.
And U.S. and Canada are the only two countries that don't demand labeling of GMO products.
So remember, the European governments, the Asian governments are protecting themselves from GMOs. Why isn't the Harper government? Why isn't Obama? Well, it's a major corporation.
Well, yeah, and who donates to his campaign?
Oh, wait a second.
Gee, and who's the head of the FDA? Didn't he used to work for Monsanto?
We're digging in a little bit deeper, and we're talking about the GMO controversy. It's just like climate change. It's a real problem, and it's only ignored by major media.
It's kind of funny, though. Less developed countries are banning them.
Yeah. Okay. Who was it? Peru?
And Kenya recently, too.
A third world country is banning it. In Haiti, the farmers burnt Monsanto seeds on the docks.
After the earthquake, yeah.
They said, we don't want GMO seeds contaminating our entire country's food stocks. No. But the Monsanto, the Roundup problem, if you take a look at Google Earth and you look at a satellite shot of their farming areas, are getting burnt right out.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's disgusting. Compare France to the eastern, breadbasket area. But let's get into it. Let's talk about GMOs.
Here's a story from Kenya.
The debate over the merits of genetically modified foods has gone on for a while, with proponents insisting on their ability to solve the country's food crisis. Critics, however, say that safety concerns have not been well addressed, and now government has eventually imposed a ban on GMO imports until further notice.
The Ministry of Public Health and Sanitation wishes to clarify that the decision was based on genuine concerns that there has not been adequate research done on GMOs.
According to the ministry, prior research done on the safety of these foods has not been satisfactory. The ministry claims that such food may still have serious health effects like cancer and allergies.
It is for this reason that the Ministry of Public Health and Sanitation, in collaboration with other organs of the government, has decided to commission a study into this issue in order to appropriately advise the government on the way forward.
Although the ministry has not specified the date when the study will begin and end, the ban will still stand until government has enough information to make an informed decision. Following the ban, the ministry has immediately directed all public health officers at the ports of entry to enforce it.
By verifying the custom entry documents of food consignments to ascertain that the food has a GMO-free certificate.
The ban may see many dealers in GMO products losing out, but the government may also need to strengthen its food security since the ban comes at a time when the country is dealing with food shortage. The major GMO import is GM maize, which is the country's staple food.
Thank you, NTV, for running that. Talking about the real situation down there. Nothing on CBC about this whatsoever. In fact, we haven't seen one story about a country banning GMOs on CBC.
No, not a bit.
Okay, CTV, you don't even know what GMOs are. And, you know, it's not tinfoil hat wearing. No, not at all.
No, they cause a lot of problems.
So make sure you do your studies, get informed about it. But if you can, stop eating pre-prepared food, microwave food that's out there, products by Kellogg's and Campbell's, and there's an actual list at truefoodfoundation.org. I want to take out 2 quick minutes right now, and we'll be right back.
From the makers of Canada's wildly popular internet surveillance bill, the new Government of Canada iPhone app tracks your online movements, studying your online purchases, read your emails so you don't have to. Stores this information for future reference in an online registry. Well, not registry, we hate those. Online database. That sounds benign. The new Government of Canada iPhone app. Available now. Download it today or with the child predators.
And we'll be back with the exciting conclusion of Symphony No. 9, also known as the New World Symphony by Antonin Dvorak, after this commercial message. Do you have a problem with lawn weeds? Try Weedaflex. Weedaflex contains the chemical ribotractadividion, which kills weeds dead. I had an elk problem in my backyard for a while, and I'm telling you, Weedaflex took down an elk. That's how strong it is. Weedaflex kills weeds dead. It could take down a pesky elk, even a pesky human. Weedaflex, a member of the family company of pesticides. We now return to the exciting last few bars of Dvorak's New World Symphony.
If you don't ever want commercials on CBC Radio, take action now by joining the campaign at friends.ca. Stop ads on CBC Radio.
You know what? I'm going to take CBC more seriously if they stop paying attention to royalty. It's as simple as that. We're talking about Radio Free Canada and GMOs. So welcome to the show. It's so good to have you along here. And I love this because we get to cover the real story.
Yeah, nobody talks about the damage that these things do to people.
So let's get right into it. Check this out. Got time enough to fit this in.
Good evening. Thank you for joining me. You're listening to themediaspeaks.com. Tonight, Peru bans GMOs. GMOs, genetically modified organisms. That's right. Peru bans genetically modified foods as U.S. lags. That's the headline of an article on current.com news blog by Stephanie Whiteside. I'd like to read to you some of this article. Genetically modified foods are foods made from genetically modified organisms, GMOs. A few weeks ago, California voters turned down Proposition 37, which would have required that GMO foods be labeled as such. Chemical companies and processed food manufacturers heavily and successfully, or are you talking about those biotech giants like Monsanto, DuPont, Cargill, and others? Yeah, they successfully, here in California, backed a campaign opposing the proposition. Nationwide, GMO crops are prevalent, and efforts to label GMO foods have yet to get off the ground. But outside the U.S., we can find a different approach. Peru has said no to genetically modified foods. They didn't say no to Proposition 37, they said no to the damn GMOs. Peru's ban on GMO foods prohibits the import, production, and use of genetically modified foods. The law is aimed at safeguarding the country's agricultural diversity and preventing cross-pollination with non-GMO crops. It will also help protect Peruvian exports of organic products. We're going to have to import the good stuff from Peru now. Peru isn't the first country to ban GMO foods or place restrictions on their use. Earlier this year, Russia suspended imports of Monsanto's GMO corn. They don't want that there in Russia. And in fact, in Monsanto's own cafes, they don't need it either. After a French study linked the corn to cancer. You know, cancer. France also has a temporary ban on the corn. Ireland has banned the growing of GMO crops since 2009. Japan and Egypt also ban the cultivation of GMO crops. Even countries that don't ban GMO crops may place restrictions on them. Germany requires farmers growing GMO crops to maintain a minimum distance from conventional farms and holds them liable for damages if conventional crops are contaminated via cross-pollination. A German court upheld the restrictions, turning down a complaint that claimed the regulations unfairly damaged farmers. Yeah, the big GMO ones. In some places where GMOs are permitted, labeling is required, enabling consumers to decide if they wish to eat to purchase foods containing the genetically modified organisms. In 1998, the European Union began requiring labels for food products with more than 0.9% of ingredients from genetically modified processes. Other countries, including Japan, Australia, New Zealand, China, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, India, Chile, and South Africa, require labeling for foods containing GMOs. Again, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, China, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, India, Chile, and South Africa have what I do not have here in California. Thank you very much. Efforts to ban GMO foods or require labeling have occurred only on a local level. Most recently, California's Proposition 37 was an attempt to require labeling of food containing genetically modified ingredients. The position was defeated at the ballot box after Monsanto and other companies poured money into opposing the effort, including an ad campaign that claimed the labeling requirement would cause the cost of groceries to skyrocket. Well, they knew exactly where to aim their campaign at women and their pocketbooks, okay? When other countries are taking the step to ban GMO crops outright, the U.S. remains resistant to even allowing consumers to know if they are consuming food made with genetically modified ingredients. It's a secret. America is embracing the cultivation of GMO crops. Yeah, I guess we love them. While other countries are taking a more cautious approach. And now, thousands of products in the United States contain GMOs. The mad scientists are running wild. D-Lake for Prez for themediaspeaks.com. Have a great night. Peace.
And this, of course, being the reason why you support independent media.
That's right. Now, Germany is holding them liable?
That's amazing
That's
that they
awesome.
say the GMO crops got to stay so far away. There's a reason why that they're calling it GMO contamination is because you have messed with a genetic structure that was not meant to be messed with.
And nobody knows what it does to human beings.
And the fact of the matter is all of this research has not increased crop yields. It hasn't lowered the cost of producing food.
And has caused the cost of food to go up.
The doubling of grocery prices, something else major media refuses to cover. Our inability to stop these major corporations from messing with us. And one other story that they refuse to cover. It's big news.
It's big news.
Okay?
And they're not talking about the fluoride in the water and what that does to people as well.
Yeah, okay. Fluoride being one of the #1 killers on the planet. Arterial sclerosis caused by fluoride hardening of arteries. But don't take my word for it. Start doing your own research. We are finished with the first hour, and thanks for joining us. For those of us who are in Radio Wonderland, thanks for joining in. Man, new format day.
Went fast.
It did. The fastest 2 hours in talk radio, the fastest segment production on YouTube. And we're going to be back with more stuff and an update on the protests around the world.
That's right.
You are listening to it. Freedom Radio. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet. You've been listening to Radio Free Canada.